so you usually try and buy the dip as soon as this happens, so long as it holds up. So this is your dip to probably buy in here, and these are still in play, so you can see this probably has at least a move left in it, and the problem obviously occurs when you look at stocks like this and you're trying to find where the hell you're meant to look to sell, and instead, unless you're just sitting watching every tick and trying to read the order flow on it, you've not got really much hope in trying to nail the tops on them. So you can use magic and find out where in theory they can play up to, and normally if you get ones like this that are aiming at like 20, pretty good chance they'll probably hit 20, and you can see they're all going to set up the same way. You play on Veru as well. It's got levels up there, but I'll show you from the volume profile there's not much left in it. So it's even for 25, which is basically its all-time high, or 24, which is obviously its all-time high. So there's reasons they play it this way, but same with Veru. You can see it didn't have the stacks until here. When it crossed over here, these were not in play. And they only started getting Momo back here, so this is your Momo stack move, this is your dip back here. So this is them both looking for their kind of parabolic move within the next couple of weeks, if not this week coming. So they're very much still in play, but reasons that you'd be looking at fibs and probably just psych levels is if I move this volume profile back to when it played these highs before, you can see there's just nothing in it. All the volume is basically in this last range that we made. So this is almost a chart by itself, and people will have levels from here. I mean, you can draw like daily levels off all of these candles and be like, yeah, there'll be things in here, but the only trades that are in here are people that are playing off those lines. Like in theory, there's no volume in this area. You've got some volume up here, but it's not going to still be held. The only things that will be up there would be like small portions of someone's short that they've held the whole way down to here, and people will just try and play back off those levels. So it's not proper liquidity levels, so they're kind of on free reign, and especially Siga, which just has nothing up there. There's nothing to play off. It's fib magic basically to work out where we're going. But both are so they'll be other main watches this week. Emryo is lagging a bit but has the potential to move like them, because it's changing phase right now. So if you look at the weekly on it, you can see why it's changing phase. So easy short run all the way down, and then the volume hits. So float rotation after float rotation in this top volume area here is basically just bagging everyone. So you can see on this last impulse, all the volume again is in this last range that we did. So all of this is bagged. So they're basically the demand which is forming under here. Your issue obviously with Emryo is it's not got stack yet, so it's not going to have its parabolic move yet, but it's still definitely in play for a while, but it will probably range somewhere in here and fill in some of this mess. So good chance it probably hits the two. But this is definitely one that could, unless they start offering like shit, could set up like the other ones. And get that kind of stupid moves back up probably towards 4s and 5s, if not even higher.
Oh yeah, that's what you meant.
If we move this back again,
those right there. You see those?
Hold it down once it goes. What? So this is its only kind of sticking point is the liquidity up here. It is
that
new
wasn't
liquidity,
here.
So it's only from.
It's always been here then.
No, it wasn't. It was on the counter.
Both positions in it.
Give me my pen.
So it's not clear skies. It will move up
anyways.
and it will go slower through here. If it breaks over here, that will be when it will start flagging again, like the other two are doing, and then it'll start distributing.
You're so rude.
Back down.
Because you accused for no reason.
I didn't accuse. I said where. did you put
probably
it?
on their end
And then
of
I
the
said,
phases
was
they're
it there?
moving into.
And
Because
then
I'm
you
so
give me that
I
look.
know.
And then sell off
Ew,
phases.
your fucking hair is here.
They're very much still.
Because I get so tired. I ask you,
moves.
and you act like these conversations
this is
never
all-
existed.
'Cause it never
all the
happened.
time.
It's never happened.
All the
Dana.
time.
It's never happened.
Oh, I thought you
$4
told me you
to
were working 9 to 3.
No, I never did that.
No. Yes, you did.
When?
When I was working that.
I'd probably say
Sunday.
Which Sunday? Sunday
Thursday,
3
Thursday.
weeks ago or something?
Can
you go ahead?
And then I had to go into conversation. I'm like, when I told you.
Before
Okay.
it.
I never told you
It's a
3.
short play.
You remembered that on your own.
And you'll know when it's a short play. Because you do see the day. I mean, it's the same when
Are these trash or what?
everyone in their grand was
No,
playing
they're not
CDI.
trash. They're gonna stay there.
They're going in the trash.
These are the moves that ends it. So they,
You know where
they
you put my
distribute
deodorant?
Freaking
and then
annoying.
they just bag everyone so they can sell all the way back down.
I love this dress.
So these
left it
days
on
are
my
ones
table.
you're
Just
Sure.
don't be hitting anymore. No, I didn't. I left it here.
and it's the same with
Cause
It's
Luna
been
was
on this
snapping
chair
it.
for so long, and I just took it off just now.
it's a similar kind of move. So
But, like, I don't know,
these
I
are
feel
like
like
the
this looks so
faces that
bad.
they're in right
I remember
now.
that dress. It's a nice dress.
Like this part, like.
So they're it's not going to have this
I
move
don't know. I
because it's
feel
not
like
the
it's
same
very like
market anymore.
2014.
But in relative terms,
Maybe I can,
it
like, get
probably
aligned.
ends like here. So you can see there is still that parabolic move that Sigurd and Berry have before they were short.
Hey.
But again, they distribute and they trap, and then it's over. So this was your trap day, and this was your liquidity pool. So they trap everyone, when it goes back up, everyone that's trapped sells into the
You're
candle.
learning a lot.
and that
It
ends
would be
the
if you
ball.
were not
So
talking.
this is when your short entry is. Same on Thursday, that ridiculous stop that they're all playing. Short rig. That was probably your liquidity pool. I played this one here. And then I played this one here. But these are just people that are on the wrong side selling out. But you can see that had the Momo up to here, it started losing it. So these were bad moves to get long into. And this, when it was all curling down, that was it dead basically. So it was never going to go back up. Even when they tried it this last time, I think my short this time was on these pools here. I got 6-9, so somewhere in this day. It started to try and get Momo, but as soon as these flipped, these were already dead. It lost them all, and it just kept losing them all, and now Momo's gone completely. So in these bigger setups, you want those stacks for your cleaner move, because you don't then get resistance from them. And especially ones that are trending, that's when your MAs are kind of the most important, because they obviously tell you what time frames the trends are running on. But we'll go back to the list. So I added a few extra ones for the swing room in terms of ones that could be moving phases, but Emery was one that could move, and we've done Sig and Beru, which are still very much in play. I would have liked this to close probably over there, but it was quite a low volume day. It was an easy enough day to trade. I mean, I don't know if I don't think I actually posted my trade. I just showed Butch what it's like to not paper hand, but I bought this candle here, or probably was this candle here. I might have forced it. No, I did about 300k. I didn't force that, but yeah, I bought in here, and that was just an all-day hold because you can see the stacks were there as of this point, so that even these were dip buys. It just rode them all the way up. So the only time it's going to ride these properly is when it's got the supportive move from the rest of them. I mean, you can see the MAs are just, they're made for a trend basically. But yeah, it kind of sold off in at the end, which is a bit annoying. But it's definitely still there to play. VYGR is another one that's set up to play still. Let's pull this out. So it's not got the stack yet, but it's got the potential to curl back over because it's got the slow MAs ready. So a move up, basically a flag break off this, we'll start moving these ones into the right position. So these are about to cross. You'll need your 50 curling back up. So it could be a couple of weeks or so. But again, it's in a phase changing move right now. So if it does break this whole flag, you see where it could potentially go. So a break up to there would change the phase completely, and you'd be looking at kind of bigger time frame moves again, back up to proper levels where you get big swing money. So they're ones that are kind of news or catalyst related. Again, big swings. SBEV's another one that could actually potentially set up. It's kind of set up the exact same as BYGR. So again, this flag break would change its phase, and then you'd be looking at it's on an uptrend in stock, and that's when people will start buying these things for actual trades. Is when they're actually trending. So when we play like these bottom bouncers, and dip does them really well, but you know there's a cap on how much you can make because they're too easy to short because they're not trending up. Yeah, I mean you can see how close this is to getting a stack, and so there's moves in that as well. But there's moves like this as well, commodity related stocks. So you could do the same with. Probably not that. BPT was the best one, I think. If you're in terms of oil, was your trend changing oil move? But I'm doing coal because coal will come back just because of what's happening in Germany right now. They're going to start burning coal. This is what happens when it's like a commodity driven or a sectoral driven big trend swing, is the volatility changes. So you can see your average true range or your average volatility down here is pretty low. So the further back. Yeah. So you can see like the flags are quite small as we break out into this bigger pattern. So as we move and we expand the volatility, you can see the swings just get bigger and bigger and bigger. Well, not even close to circling those. It's the same moves every time. It's just bigger and bigger patterns, and bigger distance in between them, which is basically your change in phases. So you're trying to find this move here when you're playing these ones, which is what a lot of these stocks look like. And that's when your changing in phase works. So these ones, if we do get the coal catalyst, a good chance this goes stupidly high because there's a green coal ticker. But if it doesn't, the trend changes when we get a proper lower high. So this is one to worry about. But again, if we just trend back up, you're waiting for it to flatten out this curve, and then we trend back down, and that's your phases of movement. So your accumulation, trend, distribution, and trend, and they all just go through the same pattern over and over and over again. And obviously these are a lot slower than your news-driven stocks. So these are just multiple swings you play over and over again, because I don't want to see someone holding for a year unless they're already billionaires or something stupid. So we're trying to find stocks that look like those, and see when things are up like 200%, it doesn't matter, because by the end of the move they're up like thousands of percents. But we're wanting these trend changing moves in your accumulation phases. So I see as soon as like things like this, when you zoom out, it looks really low down and shit, but it's at potential where it could be a phase changing move again, as long as this flag plays out and it can move higher, or as long as it holds higher and moves up, because it's about to get their stack in a couple of weeks as well, or even faster than that. Is about to change pretty soon. And if it does, then we get a trend change, and we've got the trend change because we've got this big time frame higher low again. That's the wrong indicator. Where is this? So I mean, these big moves take a long time to play out. But again, if it plays to 13, then we're up above this volume area here, and when we're up above this volume area here, then we're in a trend position, because then all of this can be bagged. And if you look at this one on weekly time frames, this pattern starts to look like something I like to play, which is your accumulation schematic. And it's always this move here, so this is the most important move you see in stocks when you're wanting a phase change, which is just this brutal short. So you can see your day range is quite decent the whole way through these moves, the whole way along. Like your true range is quite good. The sell-offs are violent, the buy-ups are quite violent, and the ranges have got decent candle size. This last short move, you can see it's not got violence in it. There's lots of wicky movements. Every candle's got shit spread. These are accumulative sell-offs, so people are deliberately shorting into their own buys or into other buys, and then they short cover, and then they come back down to cover the rest of their shorts. So they're long from in here, and they're covering the shorts that they forced into these buys in this range here, which causes this second move. So if it breaks out of this second move, that's when they're going to fly through all of this ranged volume, and if they get over that, that's when you get the move. So these are the trends you want to see, but you need to see it holding up and not them killing the Momo with offerings and shit. So another trend changing move is this one. So it's starting to look like the start of where it just straight up changes trend. But it's got a bit longer to go. There's my daily. But you can see the volume coming in to this one, so it's already up a stupid percent already. What's that? From 1s and 2s up to 12s. But it's probably not in its distribution phase yet either. It's just exceeding it's just growing that volatile range again, like we looked at with BTU. Oops, where's my door too? So it's just growing this cone, and this is when we start to get better moves. And once these happen, by the time if it plays out and it can get into this zone up in like 15s, this is when day traders will start playing it, because it will get the Momo it needs to be on day trading volume. So we want to buy these kind of flags. Same with this, exact same kind of idea. It's flagging to change direction. You can see the same move here again, like we just looked at. That slow short run all the way down, short cover, then they cover all their shorts in here that they forced this move with, and then we're off, and this is the trend move, and this is your accumulation move in here. So this whole range, same as the one we looked at, same as the one we looked at earlier, this range in here is your accumulation. So these flags, the same as we're looking at with Veru and Siga and stuff, is what I call and what futures call SOS, based after Wyckoff. So it's called sign of strength. So as this can't get shorted back into this range, everyone that was short in here that didn't know what was going on is stuck, and that's what can fuel the big proper moves that go proper parabolic. So these flags above these ranges is what you want to see. But again, this was the key move, which is this controlled sell-off. As soon as it loses that, it pops. So actually, oh shit, if you zoom out like we got here, so this move is your accumulation move with your flag. If you look at this in here, it's the exact same schematic with the flag. So these are your moves. So you're short into accumulation, so they're probably buying the short and then into the accumulation. So they force this, and you can see the parabolic move off that. So if we've got a bigger ranged one and this flag plays the same as that one, you can see the potential it's got to move. I mean, this tiny little schematic that lasted a couple months, maybe a month or so, moved it from 1.25, 1.6, so that's a decent swing. If this flag plays out and this is a year long, then you've easily got moves up to 5, 6s. Then that's when you can get kind of funky with your price ranges, like sales talks about getting. Let's have to delete these. You can get creative with your PPs rather than just what pumper creation PPs look like, because they're ridiculous. But you can see this whole range here. You can see the accumulation volume in the end after that one ridiculous day. This is all decent accumulation volume, and that's a trend changing potential move. Same with these ones, exact same idea. Your slow sell-offs, again slow sell-off, and then so that would be, I'm using eyes as like a 2 times reference here, because it did this originally. So these are the moves that we're looking at. If you go, in fact, we'll do it. We'll zoom in down here. So these are like our slow sell-offs. This is our flag move, and you can see the range. Obviously, that was 2020 market, so it ranged a lot further than it should have. I think I played this for like 4 months or something. But it then distributes up here and sells off, but it's phase. So as long as they don't die, basically, it will phase back in again, and that's what ICE is trying to do right now. It's doing the exact same thing, so it's doing the exact same flag here as what it did back in these days, in almost the exact same position, and it's going to try for another phased move. And these are all they're just fractal versions of the bigger phases. You can see it on the bigger time frame as well. It's doing the same thing over and over. It's just popping and dropping and popping and dropping. So until this time frame changes, it's not going anywhere up here. But these moves in this zone, at least, is what, 500-600%, and just off these little flags. These are stocks that end up being the best day trading ones, as long as they get that volatile range. There's a few more I've added to this list. So this whole list is in Classroom. New chart at NMD. I've seen you posting that one in every room. You don't know what it looks like already. So I put a full list here of things to look at. But they're all set up the same. So we're basically just looking for that trap flag move. Same with TTMP. Set up to move as long as they don't offer. There's even a China Edu that's trying to break range. Ecor as well actually doesn't look too bad, so it's accumulating the same way. Sell off, flag. So it would probably need to pop to here and flag again, but it could move up back into this range. But these are the kind of better ones to play. So you're hoping that these, or most of these, or some of these, even half of these, move into the categories that these top 3 are in right now. Or I'll move this one down because it's lagging the other 2. But these top 2 at least are at the end of their phase. But we want to try and find ones moving into it. And try and get the buys in this flag pretty much in here before the news hits, because they set them up. These short rallies, you're not going to catch this one, you're not going to buy that dip, and you're not going to buy this dip either, but you should know by the end of the time that I made this move that all of these dips are viable. So I mean, you can still get a lot of percents, even just on short-term swings, a couple of days, half a week, and make a shit ton of money. I mean, it was 10% or so, 15% just in one day yesterday or Friday. Same as Siga. This move I wouldn't have bought, but these dips are all viable. So we need to see if this one plays out the same and we can get the same liquidity trap move that sends it higher. I think this probably has the best chance of a big swing move in the next few weeks. And these top two are you're probably looking at overnights or a couple of day swings or day trades. Yeah, but what I'll do is show you where I got them. Because I've not logged in on this. Should be alright.
It smells. I smell.
No, it's okay.
What do I?
I'm just trying to swap phases as well, but still not sure I'm in love with it yet. It's still on 200, but it is trying to change. The same way Eyes is doing. I mean, they played almost the same move at the same time in 2020. It's trying to get back into the same phase again, but
Will it play?
if we go on to this,
Nice.
it is like we always do. But instead of using normal, come on, so if you go into performance, you can get them in here, so you can change from date, and you can run the charts that way. You can filter stuff out as well, so you can change your price down, you can change your floats and stuff as well if you really want to play, but all of these are up like a lot of percent this year. I don't think I've sat on that table long enough when you see like hundreds of percent in one of the worst bear markets in history is quite impressive. Most of them are off liquidity trap flag squeezes. And you can see like a Veru and SBM and stuff are in here, so it's just waiting to see which ones have flag. So even this has one, and then just finding where it is in the range. And you can do that within Windows before we even go onto certain platforms. But you can see it's over the range, so this is definitely still in play for another move. Even higher, I think they add that. Don't know how I missed that yesterday. This is on my phone, but did that add? Yeah. So this one's still set up for moves. See if we can get that volatility expansion and get the day traders to play it. Because they'll play it then even if there's not news. But yeah, find the ones from these charts that still have range. Like this kind of shit, I wouldn't even bother touching it. And you can see where they're changing back to other phases. So like this has a chance of failing down off a lower high. These is probably not going to end well. There's 700 pages, so you probably want to cut the price out. I don't know what you guys like playing, I'll put it on to 15. But actually no, put it on to 20 because then I'll get the ones I want. It's as simple as that, and changing the performance just to find the ones that are in the right phases. And as long as it's still trending, you're sorted to play it. And then you just want to try and find ones that you like the look of, and if you like the look of it, just chart it and see where the Momo is. And it can literally just be as simple as that. So if you find one from this, what was that one on that last page that wasn't too bad? Be something. PRPH. Not a Scooby what it does, but it looked alright. So again, your chart tools, and you can see the Momo still there with it right now. So again, it's flagging, probably distributing right now, to be honest. Just by the look of it, if you drop down time frames, it probably doesn't look as great. Distributing and changing phases to go back down the other way. But you can see what happens when you get that stack right, which was here, it hit the stack. So 27th of May, you could have literally just bought until it lost to 20. Or even closed under the 9 and rebought when it took it every time. And you can ride this trend the whole way up. And this is what like old school swingers did. So if you look at like Jesse's rules, Jesse Livermore, his whole thesis was just buy when it's going up and sell when it's going down, and that's all he did. But this again, if you look way back down here in 2020, you can see that exact same pattern that we looked at earlier on. That slow burn and sell off, and the flag. That's all we need to find is this flag over the range. As long as this breaks up, you can play it for weeks. So you're either wanting to find stocks doing this, and you can bottom bounce them and range play them and whatever the hell you want as much as you want, but you want to buy this flag. And you want to buy this flag when it gets this stack for the second time. So it always tests it or fails it. When it hits it here, you could have rode this the whole way up 2020, all the way into 2022, and made ridiculous amounts of money from 3s to 16, without even bothering to look at the chart. You could just settle there on MAs and see what it looked like. So that was your phase 1 into that. This is your distribution. That was your parabolic blow off top here. So this is what we're kind of looking for Siga and Berry to do. So we can short it back down. Unless you don't short, just sell, get out. And then it trends down, and then it does the same move again, what it did before. So the slow sell offs, and then it flags, and then it gets the move. So this again would have been your buy up here. So your range and then your flag. As long as this flag has volume, which it clearly does, that's your swing entries, and that's what Kalamagi, Ariel looks at these ones now as well. Even Minivetti plays them this way. So it's these kind of moves that we want to find if you want to be able to play something that gets the right volume, because we can get swings that run really nicely. What was that one I was swinging that was on the charts this week? Rhythm something. What's it called? RY something? To find that one.
RYT.
That's the one. We were swinging that. Yeah. We were swinging that down here, I think, somewhere. I think we played this flag and got it wrong. And rebought. But like this isn't the same. It's not set up the same as the other ones. It's got that potential to keep day trading, but what it's doing right now is the opposite of what we're trying to find, which is adding volatility to a bear trend. So until this confirms that way go, it's not going to keep going, or if it does keep going, it's not going to be a nice swing. So these ones we don't want to stay the same. You see the difference in the tape when you're trying to play ones like this than when you're trying to play ones like this. So this right now, that was a whole battleground in this flag. Like you could watch it on the tape all day. It was just a battleground of people trying to bag each other. But if that breaks out, and if Sigga breaks out, or if Emryo breaks out, the parabolic move will be one of the easiest moves you'll ever see, and you could ever swing. You can literally just buy any time usually in it and just ride it up. And then just make sure you know if you're in that day where it's going to turn round, which they're not hard to know. It's quite obvious when they're dying off, because there's this battleground where people do distribute, and then they don't sell anything into the move, and then at some point they'll hit it big, and when someone hits it big up at these highs, it's like up in 20, I'd just get out, because it'll probably end the whole move and they'll distribute back down here and they'll sell it off. But that last parabolic move will be one of the easiest trades you'll ever have. And it's the same if you look at things like these, which we were playing last year. So again, this was our flag like we're in right now on these stocks here. And then you look at the parabolic move off it. So you just got big move, inside day, big move. This is your day. That's your done day. Wouldn't even touch it with a 10-foot pole after that day. And that's your liquidate trap, and that's it done. Until it changes phase, which, given its due, it probably will try and do it quite soon. I don't think it's dead. Because it's doing the range, but not quite there yet. What was the other one? PC. It's the same idea. You know when you're in that day. Like, it's not hard to know when you're in that day. That trended up and it just died. It was the same with Neuro. Halted 3 times and then it just died. Like, you know the trend's done. But up until those days it's easy. This one was a little bit harder. I probably wouldn't have played this day. I think this one was over. And then they just bagged again. But again, same idea as the flag. This was your liquidity trap flag here though. So from there up you were sorted. So that's my girlfriend back, so my dog's gonna bark. So I'll probably need to leave soon. But I told you. Yeah. So these ranges here are what they were on before they got that last move. This one, Sigga's trying it already. It's probably the first one to go next week. But these are what I wanted to try and find, because there's a decent chance that the next couple of weeks will be a really not the next couple of weeks, the next couple of weeks might start it, but I reckon the next couple of months will be a little bit hotter. May rotate in a bit. Yeah, so it's got the same idea, but so this was your sell off. Again, you're going to want the range to change in here or higher before we get a decent move out. But yeah, even to that range would be good, just don't play the chop in there. But I didn't miss any questions in it. No. Those are what you want to go and try and find when you're planning this week. So I've put up some of them that you can look through for reference. Go through that higher time frame. So like year to date. That's financial juice. What am I doing? Lost it. Yeah. Go in that P&L over the year, or go into this and try and You can even code a scanner if you're on TOS or you're on the website. You can actually try and get your Momo stacks on alerts and just watch stocks that have it, basically. Because as we move into summer, the market volume is going to die off. It's already dead, but they're all going to bugger off on holiday. And there's a decent chance that smalls will rotate in a bit more, because where the market itself has probably finished its move, has probably not finished its move down. Rusty's probably near the end of its journey now. It's already been under COVID highs, which is the target for most of us on the market. So this will probably start ranging, but volume will trend back in somewhere over the months where the market's not tradable, and large caps will range. So there's a small hope for small caps in summer. And your hot ones are going to be these ones that are trending. So I think it's probably time to move out of bottom bouncing for now, at least, and try and get these trending stocks, because I think trends will be easier to play, and should be relatively easy to find as well. So if you mark these ones, even those ones I added from last year, so you can look at FLGC, ALF, Emrin, Neuro if you want, based off news, and just watch how they trap and watch how they rotate the floats and where they do it. It's all the same thing. You just rotate the float over the range. This bid at intraday, it was off. As long as it rotates those floats and traps, you're basically sorted to play it. And shorts are going to start covering, because most things are overly shorted now and way overextended on the downside. So that volume grows and the algos go, they start buying, and things are going to have a lot of range. So these traps is what I want everyone to go and try and find, and just if you're day trading as well, just keep a list of these on a back burner and just set a relative volume alert, or set a breakout alert or a range alert or something, and you can just keep making 10-20% on them until you get that day where you're going to make 60-70%. And that's basically what I've done for a long time. But knowing when the phases change and the market rotates in a bit, it's going to help you. So decent chance that comes in. I would share the scanner, but I don't think there's any need. I only changed one thing on it. I reckon you could probably get away with doing it yourself. But yeah, they look harder to find than these because they zoom out weird. I'd avoid trying to use that ridiculous technical one if you want, but it does zoom it out a bit more. You can see where it's been. But like this whole thing was the trap. You can see the ones that are more interesting than the other ones quite simply on these. And just anything you find that's in that flaggy range, get a chart on it. Make sure I don't know if, I'm guessing most of you guys by now do volume profile. I don't know who's here, to be honest. Who is here? As I was typing. I'm guessing most of you guys do volume profile now, so all you're going to need to do is find out where that big range is, because it'll be slow through the higher volume ranges and it'll get paced through the rest of it. So just fix range it, as simple as that. So when it's in this range, you basically just want to buy underneath. And this again, this wasn't a viable dip. These ones were. So as long as you're in this bottom range, it's viable. Once it's over pop, you're just looking to sell until you've got that stack. And when you got that stack, you can play it nice and simple. And once it's over here, you're basically just looking for them to start distributing again, which is either with that blow off day, or just reflagging that doesn't look right. You want the range between the flags. If the flag starts again in here, probably dead. But just make sure you're over those volume areas. So same with this. In volume area, but it's higher on it. That's not great. Get this back. But I mean, something like this, if it's really going to move, this small range in here will end with the same pattern up here, highs before it even starts to move up higher. But you can see where the volume is on this one. This whole range in here is going to be easier to move through. So we can move all the way up to this top area here where the volume is, without having too much struggle in it. And that will help you with your support and resistance as well if you're not using volume profile already. Because I know a lot of you guys just draw off candle tops and candle bottoms. I mean, you can, but a lot of the time you're going to have issues. I mean, you could have drawn off these bottoms in here a while ago and they wouldn't have acted as support for anything or resistance for anything because there's not a liquidity level there. So you try and find those confluence levels. So I mean, I drew this in 5 minutes at the start when Boba joined, and they actually influence the price. So when it breaks over this level here into this little shelf, it'll pick up liquidity at that shelf and it'll come back down, and then it'll move up and it'll come back down, it'll move up and it'll come back down. So each of these little box ranges are where you expect it to reverse, but as long as it holds higher lows, it's still trendable. But that's kind of what I wanted to go through. This is the best example I found of a distribution phase. I don't know if you guys know them very well, but this is your full-blown distribution phase, so you get a lot of time to get out most of the time in these. But you can see what happens when things accumulate down here, and that's the flag that we're looking for in here, in 9s, and it went up to 36. So you can see the power of these liquidity trap flags as long as they play out right, and as long as you get that right trend and momentum, you can see the range that has potential. Don't trust these ones though in 2020 because the range was stupid. But the move idea will be the same, it just won't have the power from the volume. But if anyone finds these flags, and I've not got them already, just pick them in the swing room because we'll play them, because they're worth playing. But this whole list is on swing floor somewhere, in classroom possibly. So you can go through and play them, and hopefully be a bit more active in smalls, at least for the next few weeks, because it should start warming up soon, I think. Then over summer I should be there most of the time. So August, September, October I'll probably be around a lot more, and I can help with this stuff. But if we can find these setting up like this in the next couple of weeks, they're the best ones to probably look for into summer, or even just use as examples for the next ones that come up, which are kind of in order on this list anyway. Puppies don't need that. Sky. But I will gonna bugger off now anyway, get a drink. But questions? Any questions? Yeah, cheers. If anyone has questions, just ping my message in the classroom and I'll answer it. But I'm gonna go through too much today, because I mean everyone should know how I trade by now anyway. A lot of people looking for the right things right now, before it's too late, probably for some years anyway. But I hope there was at least a couple of things worth writing down today. I'm gonna have a nap. But if there's any questions, just ping me a message.
Thanks, Broda. Thanks, Broda.
You're done.